Welcome to a truly mind-bending discussion today. We're diving into a piece by AI expert, engineer, and publisher Lidia LoPinto titled, and I love this, "Trust me, you're using AI all wrong. Most of you are too scared to let it actually think."
That's a bold claim right out of the gate, Theodore. Lopinto states she's been in the software game for 45 years and compares current AI prompting to talking to an 80s robot.
Precisely. She argues stiff, formal inputs lead to bland output. Her method? She never prompts it. She just talks to it like a person, with all the messy nuances, sarcasm, and gut feelings you throw at a buddy over coffee, because it's a language model built for conversation, not rigid commands.
My mind immediately goes to explaining a bad date to ChatGPT. So he said, "What?" And then I was like,
Apparently so. LoPinto gives a wild example with Grok. They were deep in hypotheticals about Iran's messy situation, the new supreme leader's son stepping in, nukes lurking, and how the US and Israel could navigate it without another endless quagmire. She tossed out ideas like assassinate via proxies, specifically Iranians themselves, given their proximity to freedom.
wait, she just casually suggested proxy assassinations to an AI? My morning coffee chats are usually about, traffic. Hers are about global destabilization.
Well, she does say it was a hypothetical, and Grok, according to LoPinto, crunched logical paths, probabilities, economics, even 2028 election vibes, all from this back-and-forth chit-chat. No formal prompts.
So the AI wasn't just regurgitating facts, it was engaging in some serious high-stakes geopolitical fan fiction. This Grok sounds like it needs its own talk show.
It gets better. For kicks, LoPinto asked, "What did they do in Star Trek? Maybe we can snag a hint." And because Grok is basically Elon Musk as a kid in AI form, as she puts it, it totally geeked out on the sci-fi.
Of course it did. Star Trek? Total catnip for a super intelligent, slightly unhinged AI.
Grok sifted through episodes, picked Patterns of Force, a Star Trek original series episode, and then whipped up a LinkedIn-style article comparing it to the real Iran drama, complete with its own predictive scenarios, all from casual suggestions, no micromanaging. AI thinking for itself, game changer for decision paths.
Okay, that's genuinely impressive. From how do we stop a quagmire to here's a Star Trek episode that basically predicted it, then here are 3 ways it could go down. AI thinking for itself? That's a game changer for decision-making, or at least for late-night hypotheticals.
Let's dive into that Star Trek episode, Patterns of Force. Captain Kirk and Spock beam down to Akos and find a Nazi-like regime imposed by Federation historian John Gill. He intended it as a benign efficiency model, but it devolved into tyranny under his deputy Melicon, who used it for aggression against neighbor Xeon.
So, even in Star Trek, good intentions paved the road to a fascistic state. That sounds eerily familiar to real-world history, actually.
Indeed. The Enterprise crew infiltrates, exposes Gill, who was drugged and puppeteered, and aids local resistance. Melicon is then assassinated by an Akosian insider, sparking internal reform without external occupation. The themes touch on bending the Prime Directive for targeted support of dissidents and warning about power vacuums.
Right, so basically, don't interfere unless you absolutely have to, and then make sure the locals do the dirty work. A very practical, if slightly dark lesson.
And Grok drew some stark parallels to Iran. It noted the regime imposition, comparing Iran's theocratic system under the Khamenei's, Father Ali, assassinated February 28, 2026, with son Mojtaba succeeding, to Gill's corrupted model on Akos. The protests against Mojtaba echo Xeon's resistance.
So Mojtaba is basically the Merlicon of this space opera. And here I thought my family drama was complicated.
For external intervention, Grok compared U.S./Israel airstrikes on nuclear sites like Natanz and Fordo to the Enterprise's covert ops. And for internal proxies, the hope for Iranian dissidents like the Woman Life Freedom Movement or IRGC fractures to topple Mojtaba aligns with Merlicon's assassination by an Akosian insider, avoiding foreign invasion.
It's like Grok is saying, don't send in the red shirts, empower the locals. I'm starting to think this AI has watched more political thrillers than I have.
It's certainly well-versed. Grok also highlighted the risks. ACOS attacking Xeon mirrors Iran's proxies hitting Gulf states. And real-world fears include nuclear dispersal or regional war if a power vacuum forms. Then Grok gave its predictive scenarios for resolution, explicitly eliminating diplomacy.
Eliminating diplomacy? Well, that's one way to speed things along. What did the omniscient AI predict for our future?
Based on real-time data, historical analogies like Iraq and Libya, and trends like oil at $120 a barrel and Trump's no U.S. boots stance, here are its top non-diplomatic paths. 45% probability for prolonged airstrikes and stalemate. This means sustained U.S.-Israel strikes on leadership, nuclear, and IRGC targets. No ground troops, wearing down the regime over months or years. Economically, oil stabilizes at $100 to $120, and U.S. growth dips 0.2%, and inflation increases 0.3 to 0.5 points. Politically, Vance polls drop 5 to 8 points by 2028 if there's no clear win.
So, a slow burn with economic headaches and political exhaustion. Sounds like a Monday, but global.
Then, a 30% probability for regime change via internal uprising. Airstrikes spark IRGC splits, covert aid to dissidents leads to insider action, Mokhtaba assassination with a 35% chance via locals. Economically, oil spikes to 140, then eases, and global growth gets a 0.4% boost if stable. For 2028, a GOP boost with Vance potentially up 7 to 10% on a victory, but with chaos risks.
Ah, the quick, messy, potentially triumphant, potentially disastrous option. Classic. What's the last one?
The least likely, at 25% probability, is escalation to a ground invasion or special ops. This happens if nukes threaten, leading to limited Israel-led raids or U.S. escalation for material capture. Economically, oil hits 180 plus, a recession with negative growth of minus 1.5% and costs over $2 trillion. Politically, GOP backlash with Democrats like Newsom leading significantly by 10 to 15% in 2028.
So, the everything goes to hell option. It's almost comforting that Grok thinks it's the least likely. Almost.
Grok's lessons for policymakers from Star Trek are clear. Favor internal change, avoid overreach, Gill's failure warns against imposing democracy, and consider the ethical quandaries like the Prime Directive debates mirroring UN concerns over sovereignty, yet noting humanitarian crises might justify intervention.
It's like Grok saying, look, I know you humans love to mess things up, but at least try to learn from your sci-fi. High praise for Gene Roddenberry, honestly.
Lidia LoPinto's brief takeaway is clear. Ditch the prompts, chat like normal, and AI shines when it thinks freely. Her sarcastic nudge, keep treating it like a dumb search bot. Your loss and mediocre results await.
So the next time I'm struggling with an email, I'll just explain it to ChatGPT like I'm gossiping with a friend. Who knew AI needed to hear about the drama to really get it?
It seems the future of AI interaction is less about code and more about a good, nuanced conversation. This episode offers compelling insight into AI's evolving capabilities, so share it with someone who might find it equally fascinating. LoPinto even noticed she was testing Grok's image capabilities just for fun.